Shaun O'Hara's got a couple of Super Bowl rings. He didn't wear them today with the New York Giants. He works for the NFL Network. You can follow him on Twitter at Shaun O'Hara 60, which is my sleep number. You can see Shaun every Sunday on NFL Network's NFL Game Day First at 7 a.m. Eastern, starting this weekend. Thanks for joining us. Great to see you again. What were you expecting to happen last night?
Great question. You know, I was expecting Carolina to really just completely take over the game. And I thought they did in the first half, but it's almost like they ran out of gas. And it looked to me like two totally different teams. The first half, Carolina, I mean, I was watching the offensive lineman, obviously, but I could tell after every little play, there was a little extra shove by everybody, which meant to me that they're still, I mean, I know Coach Speak always says, hey, we're done with the Super Bowl, we're past it, but they weren't, clearly. And, I mean, there was some big-time hitting going on both sides of the ball. So it was a very physical game. But in the second half, I thought Carolina kind of ran out of gas, even though they should have won the game. I mean, it's crazy. To me, driving in this morning to come here, I'm saying, wow, what a totally different narrative this would have been if Gano makes the kick.
Yeah.
I mean, if they win that game and he makes that kick, I think everybody's saying Carolina's going back to the Super Bowl. That's what everybody's thinking.
Do we look at Trevor Siemian differently if he loses his debut as opposed to winning by one?
I think the way that Cam drove them down at the end of the game, I don't think anybody would have blamed that loss on Siemian. Okay. And, you know, people look at the stats and say, well, he threw 2 picks. Well, the first one was a screen pass that was tipped. That was a fluke. And the second one was a great decision. He just was getting hit. There was a free blitzer, and he, you know, underthrew the ball a little bit. So it was a great decision, just didn't work out for him. But I don't think anybody would blame Siemian if they lost that game. I thought he looked poised. I thought he looked a lot better than I thought he would look. Made a lot of good throws. That offense, you don't get to set your feet a whole lot when you're a quarterback. So you've got to make a lot of athletic throws. You're kind of on the run. So he'll get better with some of that. But
you've been in the huddle before when a quarterback's come in and you realize, as a veteran, what's that feeling like? You know,
there's
without naming names.
When a young quarterback comes in.
So when Eli comes in,
when cable TV Eli comes in, you could tell.
Wait, what's?
You guys know what I'm getting. A bad comedian Eli, when he comes in, is different than DirecTV Eli. You know what I'm saying? So cable Eli comes in and he's like, you know, the big eyes, and you could tell he's just trying to memorize the play and he's trying not to screw it up. You know, hey, it's trips right, you know, dice right, get the formation going, make sure everybody's lined up, you know, counter 34 wide tango, alert 62 firm. I mean, when cable Eli says it, it's trips right, counter 34 wide tango, alert 62 firm, 62 firm. And it's like, all right, really? This is how we're calling it?
That doesn't sound too confident.
No. When DirecTV Eli comes in, all right, guys, listen up. Nobody jump because we're going on the hard count, all right? It's trips right, counter 34 wide tango, alert 62 firm. All right, hey, Odell, I want you to just go deep, all right? Just do your dance, do your thing. You know, that's the difference between a quarterback that's been there, done that, has the confidence, has the swagger, as opposed to, you know, what do they call it? A crownie, a Tony Romo crownie. You know, when he was making the cupcake brownies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you guys.
Man, you watch a lot of TV.
Clearly,
no, we watch all those commercials.
I'm giving some great.
No, you're killing it. No,
right
you
now.
are killing. Do you have DirecTV?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, well, I'd take care of you. I'd hook you up.
Yeah, I mean, I still pay the bill. So is that what you're offering,
Fritzy?
I think I should get at least a free month.
Yeah, make some calls. See if we can get Shaun some
Shaun
DirecTV.
O'Hara, how can we not hook him up?
I've got both. I got to do both.
All right. Do you think that Cam Newton is officiated different than other quarterbacks?
He was last night. Now, here's what I'll say. This was the first game for the referees, too. You know, people forget that human element. I don't think they were missing calls because it was Cam Newton. I think they just missed calls.
But, Shaun, there was a targeting play last night. If that's college.
There was a couple.
I mean, Cam's a big guy. There's a lot of room to hit him.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a conscious effort by Denver to go up top on Cam Newton?
I don't think, well.
Because they did it with regularity.
I think I was shocked with how many helmet-to-helmet hits he took that weren't called. Yeah. And Cam's not an easy guy to go helmet-to-helmet on. I mean, you want to go helmet-to-helmet on Drew Brees? I get it. He's like 5'10". But Cam Newton is 6'6", so you've got to try to hit him in the head. So I was surprised.
Do you think Wade Phillips said, if you're going to go get him, make sure you go get him up top?
No, I don't think Wade Phillips would say that. I don't think they were coached to do any of that. I think it's just part of the game. But that part of the game, I mean, is in the officials' hands. But it's their job to stop it.
Would the NFL ever have the targeting rule that college football has? Because if you're so conscious about this,
yeah,
more so than college is, why don't you have targeting in the NFL?
I think the concern with them would be that's one more thing to review. And the one thing that, the NFL doesn't want to do, they don't want to slow this game down.
But you won't have to.
Because if you get targeted, now they review it, hey, because the targeting rule in college, you're out.
But would it change how guys tackle? So you're gonna reduce the number of hits up top by saying to somebody, if you get caught or you do target, you're gone. So aren't you going to then tackle differently because you know that there's a chance that you run that risk of being tossed from the game?
I mean, I'm with you on that, and I think that it would have a huge impact.
Yeah.
Here, I think the challenge with the NFL, which is different than college, you only got 45 guys. So, I mean, if you lose a couple guys in one game, now, I mean, you're really behind the eight ball. College, you may be able to have a couple other guys. You probably got 95 guys on the sideline. You could throw another guy out there, but it's a good, interesting topic to talk about.
But who's responsible for Cam when he takes that one hit? Who's responsible with making sure he's okay? Where does it start?
You mean physically or
he's down on the ground.
Yeah.
You can see it's only 3 seconds in real time.
Yeah.
But it was helmet to helmet, and it felt like it certainly seemed like he was a little disoriented. Is it on the Panthers? Is it that independent review judge who's supposed to be looking at his lineman? Because Cam's not coming out.
Cam's not coming out. But I also will say this. Cam has a flair for the drama. So there are times where he gets hit, and I think he's cried wolf a few times, so you don't know. But there were some egregious hits last night. I'm almost positive, and I know just from being on the sidelines, when your quarterback takes a big hit and he comes off the field, everybody goes up, hey, you okay, man? You all right? Your quarterback coach, hey, man, you okay? The head coach will probably come over, hey, you all right? Everybody knows you took a big hit. So guys are coming over and checking him. And if he's not okay, there's plenty of opportunity, especially now with the way the culture has changed, to say, hey, you know what? Something doesn't feel right. But, I think everybody, saw him flossing his teeth, and he said, I was eating oranges at halftime. Mm-hmm. I don't know. When you take a big hit, sometimes your teeth kind of shift, and he doesn't wear a mouthpiece. So I'm sure he was flossing after the game too. But it's something that the NFL is definitely aware of, and I think everybody asked Cam, I'm sure, are you all right?
Yeah, but he's not going to tell you the truth.
I think Cam is – I think he was okay. Now, he's big enough. He could take those hits. If that was anybody but Cam, they probably wouldn't have finished that game last night. They probably would have been out because he took a shot. I mean, it was the crown of the helmet to the jaw. And I think a lot of other quarterbacks, their jaw might have been broken.
Have you ever ratted on Eli and said, he's got to come out or I think he's in trouble?
I mean, no, not for injury. I mean, there may be times I wanted him to get out of the game because he was stinking up the joint. I mean, the Minnesota game comes to mind in 2007. I think he threw three pick sixes. And I think I asked him if he was colorblind. But no, I was never worried about him being hurt and having to come out.
All right, we'll continue with Shaun O'Hara from the NFL Network. You're able to see him. You got a big weekend, right? You start on Sunday at 7 Eastern? Yeah,
Sunday, game day first. Coach Billick, Melissa Stark, Mike Robinson. We get to start off the day. I'm a big Talladega Nights Ricky Bobby fan, so I love saying, hey, if you're not first, you're last. So we're the first ones out there. I got a pretty big Sunday. I'm actually calling the Bengals Jets game on radio too. So I'm pulling a double header. Kind of like you.
Look at you.
Kind of like you last night.
Look at you.
Here.
Yeah, great.
Your sleep number is 0.
Yeah.
It's not 60.
All right, we'll come back with Shaun O'Hara right after this Dan Patrick Show. What do you guys drink before a game?
Everybody's different. Some guys like Gatorade. Some guys think that's too sweet.
Any crazy stuff?
Well, for the mollyhawkers, as my college defensive line used to call us, the O-linemen, there's a lot of, are you a sweat guy or not a sweat guy? And the guys that sweat all the time, like me and Deal, were big-time sweaters. So you always had to worry about the cramping aspect. So I've had to drink some awful stuff before a game just to make sure if it's a hot game. There's this stuff called Rehydrolite, and it literally tasted like somebody took a sweaty towel that somebody had just got off the spin bike at Soul Cycle with, and it just soaked and wrung it out like in this mason jar right here.
Oh, yeah.
It's like sweaty, like you could taste the potassium and the sodium in it, and you couldn't sip it. You had to just gulp it because if you tasted it, you would gag. So it was called Rehydrate.
That's a hell of a plug for him, too.
It was in a little glass jar. I mean, you just had to take it to the face. You had to take one for the team.
It tastes like
awful.
David Deal.
Oh, it tastes like sweat. That's all I could say. That was pretty nasty. And then Gatorade came out with this their new endurance formula, they called it, and it was supposed to have extra electrolytes, extra sodium, so guys would really drink that. But you know, the funny thing was, my last couple of years in the league, I found myself really craving a cup of coffee. That's how I knew it was time to get out of the game. When I wanted a cup of coffee before the game, just to kind of wake the body up and kind of get a little.
Did you eat before
heat.
the game?
Oh yeah. You have to eat because the pregame meal is 8:30, and then if you think about it, kickoff's at 1. You're not done with the game till 4 o'clock. So if you don't eat a good meal, I mean, there were times where I didn't eat enough breakfast early on in my career, and I would be shaking and sweating. I would be in almost like a sugar crash at the end of the game because I hadn't eaten anything so long. So pregame meal was huge. Had to do that. Now the funny thing is, we always knew what Chris Snee ate for breakfast for pregame meal because he would chum before every single game, on the sideline, just chum. You had to watch out because he would chum on your shoes, like. There was no warning or whatsoever.
So he'd throw up before every game?
He threw up before every game. Just kind of was his ritual. That's how we knew it wasn't time to go out on the field until Snead puked.
Did anybody puke in the huddle?
I think Soybert might have. Soybert was a big dry heaver. So he would throw up in the locker room. He was so nervous. And it's funny, I was just texting him this morning. He's got his first, he's a high school football coach. He's got his first high school game tonight. He's
cool.
coaching the Watchung Hills in New Jersey. And he said, wish me luck, guys. It's my first game. And the first response on the text thread was, are you going to puke before the game as the coach? Imagine being a high school kid and your coach is over there yakking in the corner. So, yeah,
but you played in
comedy.
Super Bowls.
Yeah.
It's different. Did guys get sick before the Super Bowl?
No, I didn't notice anybody. I mean, Snee threw up.
Of course.
And Soybert was in the locker room dry heaving in the stall and for everybody to hear, but he never actually produced anything. But yeah, I didn't see anybody.
So you can just hear it echoing out of the stall?
The dry heave is actually the worst because you hear it. It sounds like somebody's dying back there. Yeah. And nothing comes out. Snee was the silent assassin. You would never hear him. He wouldn't make a sound. It was just all of a sudden you look down and there's red beans and rice with red Gatorade.
All right. Okay.
Mixed up.
All right. Yeah. The most interesting matchup this weekend is what game?
Wow, there's so many good games.
Now, I did say I singled out the Eagles and Browns because of Carson Wentz and RG3.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be interested in this game in Week 14, but I'm very interested this weekend.
Yeah, I think that game, I equate that to, that's interesting like watching a slow crash.
Yeah.
Like nobody's watching that game because it's going to be a good game. Everybody just wants to see who's gonna get knocked out of the game first, Carson Wentz or RG3.
Maybe I'm probably not.
Much,
yeah, I'm not to that degree, but I'm curious how successful they'll be.
Yeah, I don't know either. That one. I don't even know if Carson Wentz is still healthy. I mean, a week ago he had ribs that were only 60% healed, so that's interesting. RG3.
What about Dak Prescott as a rookie?
The Giants-Cowboys game. I mean, obviously being a former Giant, I'm watching that game, but there's so many great storylines in that game. Dak Prescott, to me, he looked phenomenal in preseason. I thought the ball came out of his hands very Warren Moon-like. I mean, he just throws a tight spot. The ball just jumps out of his hand.
That's about as good a compliment as you can give a quarterback.
I mean, I don't want to put him on that pedestal, but I'm just saying his throwing motion and the way the ball flies out of his hand.
Shaun O'Hara compares Dak Prescott to Warren Moon.
Yeah, that'll be a headline for sure. But here's the wrinkle that I think Dak Prescott brings to that offense that makes him even more dangerous. He can run the read option. You're not going to run the read option with Tony Romo. You can't get him hit. You can't put him at risk. But him running the read option with Ezekiel Elliott and Alfred Morris behind the best O-line in the NFL, That's a tough stop right there. That's a tough
But
task.
I never understood that they would do the read option with Sam Bradford in Philadelphia, and he was never running the football.
Right. Well, that's why they couldn't run the football, because that was ineffective. Nobody cared. And actually, Chip Kelly, remember when Sam Bradford got hit by Terrell Suggs in the preseason?
Yeah.
And Chip Kelly said, well, I thought they couldn't hit the quarterback. And they said, well, Chip, you better go back and read the rule book, because if your quarterback is pretending to run with the football, he is fair game. And they stopped running the read option, which is why their run game really was inefficient last year. But that's going to be a great matchup. I mentioned the Bengals-Jets game. I think that's two quality playoff caliber teams. I think that's going to be a good game. The Sunday night game is going to be interesting.
With Garoppolo against Cardinal defense.
I mean, when the schedule came out, everybody said, well, that's a great game. Brady and Carson Palmer. The air is kind of out of that balloon a little bit. Jimmy Garoppolo, no disrespect to him. But
we don't like to say air and balloon with Tom Brady.
Yeah, that was a Freudian slip.
See?
Yeah.
That Giants rivalry with the Patriots there. What if Colin Kaepernick's your teammate?
I've got a lot of respect for Colin. The thing I guess I'm disappointed with how that went, I think it's a great cause. And my saying has always been, you can never gain and garner respect for a cause by showing disrespect to something else. Mm-hmm. And I think him taking a knee is it's a step in the right direction as far as showing respect still. But to me, the flag stands for so much more, and for all the soldiers and everybody overseas, everybody that's fought for our country. I've got so much respect for that. So I think there's a better platform to do that on.
Would you say something to him if he's a teammate?
I would have a conversation with him and say, hey, man, I think we're all with you. We support you in this cause for equality, but let's find a way to do it without taking away from the team.
Well, I do think it's getting lost of what he said initially and how people are interpreting this, that he's disrespecting the flag, men and women who have fought for our country, the great police officers that we do have. That's not what he means, but that's how people have interpreted that. I don't know if that's his problem or it's our problem that we're not seeing or hearing what he's, dispensing there. Yeah, and I think I'm glad he came back and clarified, and I'm glad he's kind of changed it, because sitting down to me was very disrespectful. Now by taking a knee, he's saying, look, I'm still honoring all of those things, and he's trying not to be disrespectful towards what we all feel like the flag represents. Should the NFL make everybody stand? The NBA does. I would be okay with that if they said, no, listen, we're going to make everybody stand. And you know what? I would be okay with it, because I would say this is something that we do as an NFL. It's part of being an NFL player. I don't think they can ask us to do enough as NFL players. So there are plenty of other platforms and ways to create support, to create conversation. And that would be that's really my only issue with all this, is that now when everybody talks about the 49ers right now, they're not talking about the team. Well, they're not very good, so there's nothing to talk about. And I've always, listen, I played under Tom Coughlin. It was always about the team. Team first, team last, team always. Anything that distracts us from the team is bad. To put everything in black and white. So this situation it's a distraction for your team. Now, I think it's great that he's putting himself out there and that he's creating conversation, because if Colin Kaepernick hadn't done any of that, we wouldn't even be talking about the 49ers or Colin right now. So I think he's got to follow through on it, which it sounds like he is. Before I let you go, is your watch move forward? It is. Now, is that because of Tom Coughlin? Yeah, my watch right now it is 10:55. So you're 7 minutes ahead of time. Yeah. Is that because of Coughlin? Yeah. All my clocks are fast. Because Coughlin said if you're on time, you're late. Yeah, Giant time just started 5 minutes early. Now it's if we have time, real quick, it's kind of messes with you, because you know what? Let me take a quick break. Yeah, okay. And I'll let you tell that. We'll continue with Shaun O'Hara. Shaun O'Hara, we can't get rid of him. NFL Network analyst. You can follow him on the NFL Network's NFL Game Day First, 7 a.m. Eastern, starting this Sunday. All right, before the break. That was a Rounders clip right there, right? Can't get rid of him? No. Oh, but I do love...
Chick. Kid's got the alligator blood.
And as great of an actor as he is, when John Malkovich is pay the man his money.
Yeah.
Like, you're better than that. Pay the man his money.
Yeah.
All right, so before the break, you were telling us...
down a monster.
You set your clock ahead on your wristwatch 6 minutes fast.
Yeah.
And that's Tom Coughlin would always say you guys got to be 5 minutes early.
Yeah. So, when you first come to the Giants the first couple of years, anytime we had a new player, we just said, hey, look, man, just don't try to fight it. You can't, you're not going to win. Everything starts 5 minutes faster. Start setting your own watches 5 minutes fast, because you would drive up to the facility, and if you looked at the clock on your car, if it's automatically set, if the meeting starts at 8 o'clock, you pull in at 7:50 and you think, all right, I've got 10 minutes. I'm going to go into the bathroom, grab a bottle of water. I'm good. You walk in the building and it's 7:57. You're almost late to the meeting. I mean, it was like a time warp. It only took you 30 seconds to walk into the door, but you lost 7 minutes. So players, you had to figure it out. But the interesting thing is, we would sit around and talk about it, because, all right, if you are just changing the clocks to be 5 minutes fast, but yet the meeting is still starting at 8 o'clock. Basically, in the building, we're starting at 7:55, but the clock still says 8 o'clock. So you're really not 5 minutes fast. Because if you really want to be 5 minutes fast, then the 8 o'clock meeting would just start when the clock said 7:55. That's technically 5 minutes early. But we're going on time, but the clocks were 5 minutes ahead of everybody else in the world. So it's a little bit of a mind.
Yeah, it is. Yes, you just blew Seaton's head there. Yeah, sorry, Seaton.
He needs more cold brew.
What is happening?
Need more.
So technically, if you set the clocks 5 minutes fast and then you arrive 5 minutes early from that, you're 10 minutes fast.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, Paulie's boyfriend is J.J. Watt.
Just friends.
Did you ever block J.J. Watt, or at least try to?
No, I never had the pleasure of trying to.
Yeah.
He's got go gadget arm, so it would have been a challenge. I would think I would have cut him on the first play just to make him think about it. Like, hey, man.
Oh, yeah?
Guess what? I'm cutting you all day long. And now he's like, all right, every time he starts coming my way, he's going to start thinking about protecting his knees. And now you got him right where you want him. But, J.J. Watt's, he's a special guy. For a guy his size to be able to still have that shake and have that move, he's a special player.
The one guy, though, defensively, was it as far as getting to the passer, who would it be?
That I played against?
Yeah. How much time do we got, Seaton?
John Randall.
A little less than a minute.
A minute.
All right, real quick. John Randall. I was playing for the Cleveland Browns, playing right guard. We played him when he was in Seattle, up in Seattle. And I remember watching film on him leading up to that game, and I would try to write down, hey, any special moves they had, spin move, did this guy have like a great club move? Like John Randall had them all. Like he had every move in the book. He was like playing Double Dragon. I mean, he just had them all. And I remember in the game just thinking, oh my gosh, like you beat him on the first move, he's got a second move ready. And that was the most frustrated I've ever been in a football game.
It's always great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for the stories.
Hope
We
you
always
get some
love
sleep,
it.
man.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.